Hello, hello. How do I sound, Drayden? Do I sound all right? Mic check, mic check. All good? Wonderful, wonderful. And can you see me? Let's go. Let's go. Beautiful. Do 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 do. Bum 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 bum. Bum. Ba-da-da-da-da-dum, do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-dum. Ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-dum-dum. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Boo-do-do-do-do-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Sha, sha, sha. Dum, bum, bum. Drayton, did you ever watch 28 Years Later? Dum, bum, bum. Dum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Rum, bum, bum. Ba-da-ba-dum. Rum, bum, bum, ba-do-do-do. Do-do-do. Do-do-do. Rum, bum, bum. All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the stream. This is now week 4, so it is the long awaited final day of the storyboarding process. So hopefully we get it done tonight. That's the goal. We'll see if that goes well, but I'm pretty optimistic. So we're going to have to organize all of these notes so that they make sense in the doc, which is going to be a little tedious, but I think it'll be worth it. Okay. All right. So I think one of the things we left off on last week. Whoops. Let me make sure I'm on the right thing. Okay. Was we had the idea of what kind of 3 elements were going to be mirrored between the mentor and the main character, between the first act and the second act, just to kind of show that process of, or that just kind of, I think, like, I guess we could say to juxtapose between how the main character is kind of lost and in a place in life where they don't really know what their goals are or how to achieve them, and then the mentor character, um, maybe not even necessarily having those answers, but just being more like, what's the word? Independently motivated, I would say, um, for a lot of those things. So, um, with that, we wanted to demonstrate that in like 3 different areas. So the self versus self, self versus society, and then self versus others. And I decided to go with the example of for the main character versus society in the first instance in the first act. Your act 1 scene for that was going to be um, where is it? Oh yeah, the main character versus like having a conversation with like a career counselor, like the kind that you have in high school or in college. And then the career counselor kind of like pushing all these options at them, and asking like what they want to do with their life, and they're feeling a little too like defeated to focus on things really in the conversation, but then also to come up with any answers. So it's just all kind of overwhelming them, right? And then in the second scene, or this in the mirrored version during the second act, with the mentor character, it's a conversation that happens between their boss and themselves about leaving the company. And their boss tries to offer them a more lucrative position within the company if they stay, right? But then the mentor decides to decline it. All of this happening in front of the MC. And then so later on, the MC gets to ask, like, hey, like, why do you want to leave? Why do you want to leave this job? And then also, what are your plans after you go? And then after that, the mentor gets an opportunity to kind of explain. And when they're explaining kind of what their process is behind it, it feels like they have somewhere they're going, even if it's not necessarily like a concrete set in stone, like goal of like, this is exactly what I want to be and this is exactly how I'm going to get there. It's just more of like, I'm trying to move away from things that I don't feel align with how I want to live my life, and I'm trying to move towards things that do. And so even in the conversation with the boss prior that the MC is privy to, this mentor character seems very comfortable and confident in their conversation with their boss. And then we have the, what did I have? Oh, the self versus self one. I was thinking that we could have an example where the main character is, or I guess walks by the submissions for like the writing submissions. So like there's a writing submissions board. And MC versus society. Okay. Where maybe like in a hallway in school or something like that, the main character walks by this board that has like open submissions for like some type of writing contest or like writing event, and then they decide to ignore said submission, and then you see, we cut to that scene later on where they're at home and they're just tip tapping away on their laptop or whatever the case might be. And that was going to be our instance of the main character versus themselves, in terms of figuring out what they want to do with their life and pursuing those things, right? Because they don't see. In this case, we decided we wanted our character to be some type of artist, because I feel like that resonates most with the audience that we're trying to reach with this, and then also just in general in the broader sense of like trying to do something that is not really considered to be very like stable and legitimate within society, but something that can be very personally rewarding and fulfilling. And so we were going to go with that route as well. Actually, I'm going to switch off to my notes here then. Okay, and this is the right one. So writing submission scene. In a school hallway. So they'll stop by some type of bulletin board. That has a flyer for a writing exhibition. Oh, whoa, whoops. Do not turn that off. Whoopsie. Did not mean to turn off my tablet. And or contest. Is a flyer in that sense spelt F-L-I-E-R or F-L-Y? Flyer and flyer. are correct spellings for a small advertisement or handbill. Okay, so American English. Flyer is more normal. Okay. Submissions. Exhibition contest. I also like the idea of. I just think it'd be a really funny, like shot and scene, and it's also so incredibly real, of them seeing the flyer. Right, they cut to the scene of them at home, and they're just kind of laying back in their chair, and there's like they have the daunting white screen of the blank page, in front of them, and like there's a shot from like kind of like behind my head of where the camera would be, kind of like the over the shoulder shot where we see them in like the screen, like just blasting them with light, but from the back, and then we do a cut to a shot of what's on the screen itself, and it's just fuck with a period. That's it. I just think that'd be a really funny scene, um, and it's also very very relatable of having to intellectualize SpongeBob the. What do you mean intellectualize Sponge? Oh, the me. Okay, yeah. Um, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so something like that where it's just like we're like about to like see like, oh, they must have done all this writing once they saw the submission, and it's just nothing, stalling, completely stalling. Um, which I think is really really funny, and maybe something I might add to it because I like that idea. I'm gonna probably make a little note of that. But, anyways, um, they linger by the board before walking away. um, Yeah, maybe it's a sequence. So the sequence is shot from behind them. They're typing furiously away, and then cut to um, shot of what's actually on the screen, and it's just nothing. Right? Maybe like some expletive, and then cut again to them, like asleep, kind of napping, or maybe hold on. Actually, no. It would be better to have the to them furiously typing away, right, from behind, and then you cut to them asleep at their desk, snoring or whatever the case might be. Then you cut again to what they've written, and then it's that's when it just says, "Damn, nothing." It's just nothing, which would be really funny, I think, actually. So I'm gonna add that in there for now, because I love that kind of humor, and it's real. It's so real. If there's any writers in the chat, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh my goodness, yeah, because I've done that many a time where I'm ready to just crank out 6 pages of ideas, and then it comes to write like the first paragraph, and I'm like, oh my god, this took me an hour. This is not gonna be a good day for writing. All right, they linger by the board before walking away. And then we cut to them at home. Probably. Wait, there's an animation video that does that in the same way? Because if so, yes, I would like to see it. Because it might be exactly. Oh, I need to start. I need to start also storyboarding, and maybe we'll do that when we're trying to do like scene by scene stuff when we're writing everything out. That way, it's easier to visualize for people like what I'm talking about. But yeah, I need to start doing like storyboarding stuff of like some of these shots look like, so it makes sense. But I do think it's like super funny. So we have like an over-the-shoulder shot of them furiously typing away. Cuts to a shot of them asleep at their desk. Cut to a shot of what's actually on the screen. Okay. I'm trying to think of ways that scene could be drawn out further to kind of like explore that feeling, but I mean, I'll hold off on that for now. Um, this is the writings submission scene. Okay, this is going to be in the first act. Probably, yeah. Probably somewhere here, I think. Okay. And then the mirrored shot, or mirrored scene, I guess we could say, for the main character, or for the mentor character, if I'm not mistaken, was going to be potentially some sort of painting scene. I don't know. I think it presents an opportunity to express a lot of like dynamic range within an actor if that's the type of the character that they're playing, like some like super passionate paint. And this would be the mentor versus themselves. And I mean, there's a couple different ways you could write something like this, but I want it to be it needs in some way to tell the main character that they're getting in their own way, and showing that by the way that like the mentor character allows themselves to be. Not necessarily that the mentor character allows themselves to like stays out of their own way. It's just like they just allow themselves to exist in that sense without having to act to justify their existence, which I think is like an issue that the main character will probably have to some degree, that they don't know who they are because they are always doing stuff to like add to themselves in a way that makes them feel like that's what defines them. Bro, I don't know. I don't know when I'm getting my haircut, son. It's like $60 for a haircut these days. $60 for a haircut these days. I'm not doing that. That's crazy. But for the painting scene, I think I don't know, it's tricky. I like the idea of the main characters spending time with like even just somebody their own age, like a friend, um, that seems relatively unbothered by like overthinking what their art means or what it is. It's just something that they're doing, right? It's just they're producing to produce, kind of like what we talked about in the last stream, rather than to produce to be consumed. And so, if we were to go that route, I mean, I could see the scene playing out in a style where we could say mentor and main character are painting outside. While having a conversation about what they're making. So that's a pretty natural lead in. It's like, hey, what are you making? I don't know yet. I'm just kind of throwing stuff down and seeing where it takes me, you know? And then, the return question of like, are you making something in particular? And it's like, oh, well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not very good at art. And, every time I try to make something, it doesn't look quite right. So, like, I'm just making something that's probably bad, but I don't really know. Like, I'm not even a painter like that. And then the other person, I feel like the quality of the art that the mentor or the main character is making is reflected in kind of how anxious and spastic their thinking is. So actually, I want to add that because that's a really good point. MC's painting is chaotic, all over the place. Mentor's painting is probably going to be also nonsensical. But more cohesive. It's fluid. Yeah. Mentor's painting is also nonsensical but more cohesive and fluid. And it has the impressions. Of many different things. All right. Yeah, I like that idea. So while the mentor's painting isn't like some like, oh, this is like a ladybug or like this is like the natural landscape, it gives the impression that it is supposed to be something very specific, but it's drawn in a way that's more impressionistic. I feel, and so like that would display the fact that like while the main character is kind of all over the place with their thoughts, their feelings, and now it's bleeding into their art. Sorry. The mentor character um, is kind of like going with the chaos, flowing with that chaos, that like nonsensical nature of, does this make sense? No. But am I just doing it anyways? Yeah, I'm just kind of feeling it out, right? Which I think is interesting. Um, so I think I would want that to be part of the painting scene. Now, when it comes to the mentor versus or self versus other stuff, that's where I'm honestly kind of at a loss. I have very little idea what I plan to do um, with those things. Wait, what? No, okay, whatever. Um, because I kind of like what we discussed the last stream is that it needs to be in some way, I think, similar enough of a situation to where it makes sense to see how they both deal with it differently. So in one case, we could have some type of relationship that the main character is in, or wanting to be in, and the way that their engagement with how to be in that relationship compromises their identity. And then the mentor character also being in a relationship, but having that enhance or like amplify or magnitude, like magnify in some way their identity rather than giving them opportunity to abandon it. So I think that would mean that the main character. I think I want to start with self, then self versus others, and then expand out from there to self versus society. I think that makes the most sense. So let me make that correction now. Okay. And so what would they be talking about? 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 Dang. I'm trying to think if it would make more sense for the main character to already be in a relationship or to not even be in a relationship yet. In the version of themselves that starts out that dynamic, that back and forth between themselves and a partner. My instincts tell me no. My instincts tell me no, but I'm not sure why I feel that way. There must be something about them not even being in the relationship, but just wanting to be. That I think that, like, I'm. Yeah. Yeah, mine say no too. There's got to be something that about that relationship that they're not a part of yet that they want to be in that in some ways signals like major red flags. I think maybe I might make it a thing where the person that they're interested in is like that's Chat GPT, bruh. Absolutely not. Oh man. Um, I because this is like something that like even if I was to use ChatGPT, there's no way I would get an answer. This is purely vibes based. Chat suss out my vibes. Yeah. Um, I feel like yeah, it's got something about whatever dynamic that is in the beginning that they're struggling with that they're not even in a relationship in. It would have to be that like being in that relationship would mean giving up the like an important part of their identity, and they're willing to do that, or they're conflicted about doing that in the beginning, but leaning towards like they might do it, and then in some way, um, they don't want to think about who they are or what they want to become, and they're using the relationship as an out so that they don't have to, because then they can just think about what the other person wants to do and wants to become, and who they want to be, and what they want to accomplish in their life. So their identity gets projected onto their partner, or this like, I guess, romantic fixation in this case, and then that's how they become who they are. Or that's where they get like the escape from trying to figure out who they are. So I do like that idea actually. We'll say it is maybe a confessional scene. I don't know, because then that if they're not together, I don't know if this is the other person's first time hearing the main character's feelings, or if this is not the first time, and if it isn't the first time, why? Um, hmm. I think. Okay, we'll do a confessional scene. and we will make it the main character versus the self, or versus others. Yeah, I think we'll stick with the confessional scene. Or maybe not a confessional scene. It should be an argument. Argument with crush scene. So we have the main characters maybe laying in bed with their crush. So feelings are explicit. And maybe they have been for some times, but they're not together. Yes, yes. Okay, there it is. There it is. There it is. It's clicking now. That's why it didn't feel right to put them in a relationship. They can't be in a relationship because this other person is very driven to like their own goals and pursuits, and that involves leaving where they're at. And the main character is, I guess we could say, initially resistant to leaving where they're at as well, because while it is chaotic, it is familiar, and so that's why they're not together. But they like each other. They like each other, but they're not together, and they're not together because very soon their partner or their crush, I guess we could say, their lover, their dalliance, is going to be leaving them physically. Not necessarily like they're together and they're going to split, but like leaving them physically, like they're going to go away in pursuit of their ambitions, dreams, and goals, and chasing the things that they feel are important to them, right? And so this conversation, I would say, starts out as the crush character saying something to the effect of like, this is probably going to be like one of the last times we'll be able to spend time together before I go. And then basically the main character like low key flipping out about this, right? About like, well, why would you say that? Like, why would you bring that up? Like, why would you remind me? Something like that. And then it's like, well, no, I just feel like, like it's getting closer. Like we need to like seriously start talking about it, right? Something like that. Main character very resistant to talking about it in this case, and so they, in their frustration, it's like, well, I mean, like, like I don't want to talk about it because like we could just like stay together, or we could just like be together officially and be just long distance, or I could move there with you and I could do this and I could do that. So, right. So like the crush or the main character starts listing off, I imagine, all of these reasons why they should not, like the crush character shouldn't leave, shouldn't go, and why they should stay, and stay for them or stay with them or let them go with them. Right. And it's going to be something to the effect of like, where I'm going, I can't take you with me kind of vibe, right? Of like I don't think that like this is really important to me and I care about it, but I don't think it would go well for you. Like I know that like you want to just be with me and that's like all you care about right now, but like you would be in a situation like I won't be around all the time, right? Because I'm pursuing X, Y, or Z thing. And because of that, you're going to spend a lot of time with like without me there anyways. Or like it's just like something like the crush has made up their mind that this wouldn't work out. So like they're not really open to it in that way, right? Even though they care about them. And so there's some sort of protest that the MC is giving in all of this, where it's like they're essentially saying, like, I'm willing to throw away like whatever issues I have with where you're going or what you're about to do with your life, just to stay together, right? Or just to actually be together for real or be with you. And this shows that like codependent, anxious attachment from the main character, predominantly like a byproduct of the fact that the main character doesn't really have a sense of identity or a sense of self, and has a lot of anxiety and stress and tension about that, and they're kind of using their this person that they're spending time with to cope, So that conversation. Talk about. Grush has to talk about them leaving soon. And it being. For a while, main character starts to become agitated and object to the you know what? We could make this a little more bipolar core. I think it could start with like an offensive, like you just want to leave because you don't want to be here anymore because you hate it here and you don't care about the fact that you're leaving me here. Blah 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 blah. Like, and then it could start to flip of like, well, like no, it's not true. Like I care. Yeah. Gaslighting 100. Like, and then like the crush starts to defend themselves. Like, no, that's not true. Like I care, and I want to stay with you, but like I can't take you with me for this thing. Like it's just not feasible, and I can't ask that of you either, because it doesn't make sense, right? And then that sort of like transitions from like you're doing blah 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 to like wait, like I don't care, I don't even care, like I'd rather just go with you, like please take me with you, don't leave me here, right? So that anger starts to like trend, like immediately flip to that fear and anxiety and desperation, within the MC. um I think I don't even care for real. um yeah. So we'll say because starts to come eject the move, attacks the crush, and accuses them of not caring about them or wanting to leave them behind and wanting to get rid of them. Accusations. The race got called for Mom Donnie. Congratulations, Mom Donnie. Crush objects to the accusations and defends themselves. MC then turns to begging and pleading to let them come with. There we go. All right. So then, yeah, that I like that. I like that. It's giving abandonment issues. So like that's right. We're in the right lane right there of the identity thing being like kind of like a sensitive point for this main character. So that would be our MC versus others. Whoa, that's where the big gap is. Okay. Okay. MC versus others, MC versus MC. What? Wait. Okay. We're starting with the self versus self. And then we're going to self versus others. Okay. And same with the mentor. We're starting with the self versus self. Oh, whoops. Okay. Counselor scene. Okay, there we go. All right, I know where I'm at. So I'm missing the mentor versus others and how they deal with it. Okay. So the thing is that, like, in this conversation or this scene, somehow we need the main character to be there or to be there right after it. And that's where I'm stuck. All the other stuff, it kind of like got pieced together, fell into place, and it makes sense. I have no clue how I'm going to make that work. I'm going to figure out something. Because if they're in a relationship, it would be hard to separate the main character from the partner. But if they're not in a relationship, how is the main character there? And why are they there? Because usually those types of heated conversations, or even if it's not heated, even if it's just a heart-to-heart conversation, doesn't involve another person. It's too interpersonal. It's too specific to those two people involved, generally speaking. And I thought about, oh, wait a minute. It could be a therapist. We could make the main character a couples therapist and then have the mentor come into the office as someone who them and their partner needed couples therapy, and then we get to show that. Or, because then it would imply that, like, the main character would have some level of understanding or bearings on how a healthy relationship or identity is supposed to function if they're the couples therapist. So we could probably actually just flip it instead. So we can instead flip it so that the mentor is a couples therapist and the main character is in couples therapy with said partner, right? And so they're expressing maybe, and this could be way down the line. This could be in this version of reality, the main character. Whoa. One of my neighbors going crazy with some type of deep bass sound. Anyways, in this version of reality, we could have it be a thing where this version of the main character has been married for some time and is in couples therapy to kind of address the elephant in the room, divorce. Because maybe they're both seeking it or thinking about it. And I think in that version of the main character, oh my, I'm so goated. Wait. I'm onto it. There it is. In this version of reality, the main character ended up getting into that relationship, maybe not that exact relationship, but an analogous one, where they've kind of like put everything about their hopes, dreams, and whatever aspirations, whatever goals and identity they had into their partner. So they just mirror their partner. And this is kind of like them addressing the fallout of that in couples therapy with with the now couples therapist mentor who gives advice and recommendation to how they can kind of deal with that. So, boom, that's how it is. Because then that's a perfect mirror, like getting out. And then that way, when the mentor is relating to this main character, the mentor can bring up their own personal experience in that. So that there's before I became a couples counselor, I was right where you sat. That was me dealing with this same identity issue in my relationship and trying to figure out who I was and what I wanted outside of what the marriage was or what my partner was or what my family was to me, right? And so that's the dialogue happening between the main character and the mentor in that version of reality as patient and couples therapist, and then couples therapy session. Therapy with their partner. A potential divorce. About the relationship. Oh, I'm having a stroke typing this. I need to maybe sit upright. By the mentor. Share their grievances. Oh, it's I before E. Dang it. Okay. Share the grievances. Everything for the sake of the relationship and not really knowing who they are without it. The mentor empathizes in their past relationship prior to becoming a therapist. Is that allowed? Is that something that a therapist is allowed to talk about their own personal life to build rapport with a patient, or is that like medical malpractice? I actually don't know. I'd be curious because I could see that being like a very useful thing. Like, somebody comes to your office for anxiety or depression or whatever, and then you as a therapist is like, hey, like, I know how you feel. Like, I also struggle with anxiety or depression, and then that builds rapport and makes the patient feel less crazy. maybe. But then also like it's like maybe that's too you're not allowed to share personal details because that's like an inappropriate. Is like establishing an inappropriate relationship with the patient. I don't know what the HIPAA rules are on that, but I'd be curious. Somebody do it and let me know if they get in trouble. um, but yeah. In this case, mentor will like share their own experience in their past relationship prior to becoming a therapist, and what they learned from it. There needs to be a second scene. It's missing something. So like it's like one thing where it's like the mentor in that version of reality gets to tell the main character what to do, but the main character also needs to see the mentor doing that. Um, so there needs to be a second thing, a second cut to a different scene. Um, Okay, I like the idea of the follow up to that being so it's going to be like a two-part reflection on how the mentor demonstrates um, their own growth in the couples therapy session slash baking with grandma. So in the second half of that same scene, we have grandkid is baking some type of recipe. We'll call it Grandma's Famous Star Pie. See what I did there? We're using the star motif again. Famous Star Pie. And talking about Pop Pop, who is now deceased. And has been for let's say 2 years. No, let's push it to 4. 4 years. So the conversation in my head goes like this. They're baking the pie, and grandkid brings up how they miss grandpa, and or no, let's not do that. Grandkid being the main character, brings up about how they maybe we could put it a little on the nose, right? The grandkid's struggling with like, I don't really know what I want to do in this relationship because I'm at a crossroads. Okay, there we go. It's clicking. The gears are turning. Grandkid is in a relationship. We could say that grandkid's in their early 20s. Grandkid is at a point where they are trying. They're at a point with their partner where they're trying to decide if they want to move in together. Right, big milestone, and it's been let's say it's been a year and they're thinking about wanting to move, maybe move in together, and grandkid has some reservations about whether or not they're ready to do that. Or maybe, better yet, maybe their partner has some reservations about if they want to do that. And the grandkid is kind of feels rejected, right? And is sharing those feelings to grandma. And talking about how, I'm just ready to move in with them and be with them. And I don't understand why all these excuses. I don't know. I this, that. Actually, you know what? Let's not even give them a year. We gotta stick to that anxious attachment. We'll make it 4 months. We'll make it 4 months. They've been dating this person for 4 months and they want to move in together. The grandkid does, the main character. And the other person is like, well, I don't know, it's too early, isn't it? It's a little fast, blah 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 blah. And the grandkid is venting to grandma about this whole situation, about like they must not like me, they don't even want to live together, and it's like I already know. Yeah, but she's the one though. Yeah, what if that's it? And then grandma says, well, to be fair, you're only 20. Maybe we should take a little time to get to know ourselves a little better. It's like, what do you want? Like, what kind of place would you want to move into, or where would you want to live? And it's like, I don't know, grandma. I just want to be with them. And so then grandma gets an opportunity to bring up her own experience. In this case, of when Pop Pop died. Grandma had also a similar identity crisis where she didn't really know who she was without her husband, right? Only difference is that that was a much longer relationship. But the case still remains that the identity piece was missing again. So you can have an identity and you can maintain an identity for a long period of time, and then when you have big changes in your life, it can actually shock your identity or your sense of self so greatly that you kind of lose that identity or that vision or purpose, right? So experiences outside of your life can have a strong impact on what you think of yourself and who you are, obviously, but also on that same identity. It can knock the identity ball out of your hands, so to speak. And so grandma will bring up about how when Pop Pop passed away or died, she didn't really know what she wanted to do either, or who she wanted to be, or what she wanted to do with her life. And then had to take some time afterwards to kind of piece that back together for herself. And she found that there were things that she really enjoyed or cared about that she never did with Pop Pop because she never really thought to, right? And then maybe the case is that in this particular scenario, she started baking again because maybe Pop Pop had a sweet tooth, but also had high cholesterol or something. And so she stopped baking as much before because it was not good for him and he couldn't help himself, right? And that post his death, she got into baking again. Just as an example, right? Okay, so then in that case, we have grandkid venting about their partner wanting to move in together. Yeah, we can make it shorter. We'll do 3 months. There needs to be more red flags on this main character in this version. Grandma. Mentor grandma. They want to so badly, and what that would look like. then grandma shares. Want to so badly. And then grandma shares her personal experience. Of finding her identity again. When Pop Pop passed away, and that's why she started baking again. Yay! Yippee! Okay, so I actually really like how that's set up. So then we start with the opening scene. We cut to the main character versus themselves. They're walking through the hallway, and they see the submissions board for the writing stuff, the writing projects, and they think they're we get that sense that like they're thinking about maybe submitting something to that writing project, right? Then we transition into them versus themselves, right? Later that night, they're furiously tapping away at a keyboard or a laptop, trying to come up with something, but we can't see what they're writing because we're behind them. And then we cut to them completely knocked out on the desk, and then we cut again to what they ended up writing, and it ended up being like a one word thing, like damn, period. That's it. And that just like there's more. I feel like there's more to add to that scene there, but that's the starter point for that scene. To kind of show that they're struggling with themselves and their own confidence in their abilities, right, for the things that they care about. There's more that can be filled into that scene, but that's where I have it for now. And then we transition to showing that's like from the self, so like me versus myself, and then we build it out a little bigger, me versus others. And so then we have the argument with their crush, right? They're laying in bed together, and then the crush starts to talk about, them having to leave soon, and by leaving, you mean like moving away, that kind of deal. And how it's going to be one of the last times they're together, that they're going to be together in person for a while. And, the main character starts getting more frustrated and agitated with their crush. And it's like, you're trying to get rid of me. You don't really care about me. Like, you don't want to be together. And that's why you don't want to date. And blah, 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 right? Crush starts to defend themselves like, no, like, I do care about you. But it's like, I can't take you to the places I'm going to go. It just, and so I don't want to, like, lead you on in that way. And, like, this is, like I care about you, but this is going to be goodbye. We're going to be done after this. So the crush is being relatively mature about that whole situation, right? They're not like messing with the main character's feelings in any way or leading them on in any way. It's very clear. It's like, well, I want to spend this time together while we still can, but after this, it's done. Like, if you are like, we can't be together after this. We're done. And then the defense is reasonable in caring. So because the defense is reasonable in caring, the MC starts to break down, right? So then that's when they move from like attacking them to starting to like, being more like begging and pleading and sad about the fact that they're going without them and begging to come with them and whatnot, begging to take them along, and that they don't care about, whatever ends up happening. They just want to be together, right? Again, showing that anxious attachment, a little bit bipolar core there, that connects to that feeling of there is no identity or sense of self there for the main character. And so they're projecting that emptiness onto their crush and hoping that person will give them all that, or all that void will be filled within themselves if they just do whatever, like if they make themselves just an object of desire for this crush in question, right? So then that was here, and now we expand out a little bigger to the main character versus society. And in that conversation, it's the career counselor asking about like, okay, like, what program are you going into, and what's your plan? What's your goal? What's your focus? What career would you like to end up in? What kind of life do you want to live? What do you want your home life to look like? What do you want your day to day to look like? A bunch of questions, and like the main character is absolutely overwhelmed. It's just like you're berating me to. I'm 17, and you're asking me to figure out my entire life plan, with very permanent and very expensive consequences if I'm wrong about it. And that's just kind of a lot. I need you to chill out. But so like that conversation where this main character is like slowly drowning that out is the main character versus society, right? And then maybe we have a connected scene to that or an unrelated scene, but either way, there's that moment where the main character meets the mentor. And once they meet the mentor, they're just kind of attached or connected to the mentor throughout the rest of the life. But now we're seeing the mentor's life, and the mentor gets to have conversations about it, right? So then we go to the outdoor painting scene, and it's the mentor and the main character painting outside while they're having a conversation about what they're making. The main character's painting is all over the place, kind of reflecting their own state of mind. The mentor's painting is also a little bit nonsensical. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not like they're like painting something that is like in real life. They're kind of doing some sort of impression of something, but it makes sense. Like, it's more put together than the main character's drawing or painting. And so, there's some sort of dialogue or conversation about like, what are you making and what does it mean, right? What? And I don't think there's an answer, but it is something along the lines of, I don't know what exactly I'm making, but I do know it's something I like. It's something I will like / is important to me, etc. But the idea is there, right? And then we have the couples therapy session. So that was mentor here. Now we branch out a little bit. And we have the couple therapy session and then the baking with grandma. And so in that version, we're back with the MC in the role of the person working on themselves. And so they're in therapy in this case with a partner discussing a potential divorce and their feelings about that relationship. And then, the mentor gives them an opportunity to kind of share what their beef is. And so, they talk about feeling like they've given up everything about who they are and what they care about or what they might want in life for the sake of that relationship. And now that relationship is falling apart. And it's also in tandem with that relationship falling apart. Now their own sense of self is falling apart because their entire sense of self is built on that relationship. And so, the mentor, as the therapist, this presents an opportunity for them to connect with that main character. And so they kind of talk about how, like, like I was you. In my last marriage, before I became a therapist, I was in your exact shoes. I was sitting right there on this couch, telling somebody else the exact same things that you're saying right now, and I realized that I didn't know who I was outside of my relationship. Blah blah blah. Whatever profound thing the therapist says that's like, oh my gosh, I should be my own person and still be in a relationship. I shouldn't throw that all away. Right? And then from that point, I would say remove the space. Best viewers. Drayton, can I ask you to remove that comment? Thank you. I think we got a bot in the chat. Yeah. Please get rid of it. Anywho, What was I saying? Oh, the conversation that happens between the main character and the mentor. Um, just make me a mod. Where is Drayton? Is he not here? Trust. I do not trust making you a mod, son. Um, I can't believe this guy's gonna make me open my mod tools in stream. Ridiculous. Ridiculous, mandem. Okay, 1 second. Okay, there we are. Thank you, Drayton. Um, what was I saying? Okay, he is here. Good, 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 good. Anywho, going back to what I was saying, we have the main character as or the mentor as the therapist, sharing their own experience, about prior to becoming a therapist and what they learned from it, and the importance of being yourself, finding yourself, yada yada yada, and staying true to that while in a relationship, and then it's mirrored by another conversation and another reality where the main character is the grandkid of the mentor, who is a grandmother in this case, right? And they're baking together, and grandma's making their famous star pie recipe, which is, again, another symbol of finding who you are. And so that's why grandma's making the star pie recipe and teaching the grandkid how to make it, because grandma is teaching, or the mentor is teaching the main character how to figure out who they are, right? So that's why it's a star pie. It's just so tasty. It's so nice how I can throw in that motif that way. And so they're making that pie, and they're having a conversation about, and that ends up on the subject of Pop Pop, who's been dead for 4 years, right? And it's because the grandkid is venting about this relationship that they're in, and they've been in for 3 months, and now all of a sudden they want to move in together really bad, and their partner doesn't want the same thing, and feels like they're moving a little too fast. And then the main character is like, I don't care, I just want to, like I know how I feel, and I know I'm ready. Gosh, stuff that I've heard before that pisses me off. That's what I'm going to throw into this main character. um, but so they're venting to grandma about all this, and grandma is like kind of like, okay, if you get what you want, like, what does that look like? Where do you live? Like, what kind of place do you want to live in? And do they want the same thing, et cetera, et cetera. And while that conversation's going on, we can transition into grandma sharing their own perspective, right? And so grandma brings up about how they kind of had a similar experience where they kind of lost their sense of self or identity, who they were post Pop Pop's death, right? Where they realized that so much of their life had changed to be revolving around that relationship that they didn't really know what to do outside of it. And so they had to spend some time reconnecting with themselves, right? And so, that's why grandma started baking again, is because she wasn't for a while there at the end of, that relationship before Pop Pop passed. But she realized that was something that was important to her and that she loved doing. And so she wanted to do it again. She wanted to get back into it. And that was part of her journey of like finding herself again, post grief, post loss, and I think that's like another example of finding identity, or even maintaining identity, or reconnecting with identity in relationships with others. And so grandma's not all the way there, right? She hasn't totally figured out who she is and what she wants, but she's working on it. She's working on it again. Sorry. Having started over from her relationship from her relationship with Pop Pop, right? I don't know exactly what I'm making. Okay. And then that was the mentor versus others. And now we zoom out even bigger to the mentor versus society. And it's the mentor having a conversation with their boss about leaving the company. Boss is like, no, stay. We'll give you 10 million more dollars. 10 million is dramatic. We'll give you like a huge bump in salary and raises or whatever, right? To stay. And, the mentor character is like, well, I appreciate that, but I'm still going to have to decline. And main character is there for all that conversation, so they get an opportunity afterwards to ask, like, hey, like, why didn't you say yes? Why didn't you want to stay? Like, what were you going after this? Like, what are you wanting to do instead? And should I be doing that? Should I be thinking about doing that too? Um, all fair questions, right? And so that opens up the door to a conversation where the mentor explains about how like it's more of like a thing of like they want to pursue more of the things that make them happy in life, what matters to them. They want to put more of that in their life in as many ways as possible, and that the job, while they enjoyed their time there and it had its uses, but it's those things are coming to an end and they're ready to move on to the next thing, right? And so the conversation that they have with the boss and then later with the main character, they seem very comfortable and confident, like very poised. Uh, and undeterred as to what they plan to do with their life. And oh wait, in that case, then this traffic shot should be in between those two. Mentor versus mentor right after the counseling session. Okay. Wait, what the hell? Okay, there we go. And then there's the goodbye scene where the mentor gives the main character the necklace to head off on a new adventure. And then the inverted traffic scene from the perspective of the main character turned mentor. Now about to pass on understanding of how to find themselves. So here's the thing. I'm unsure how I want to completely close this out, but I have a couple options. I could have the main character, after they get the star necklace and they become a mentor themselves, I could have the main character spend a little time revisiting some of those previous situations again with that new knowledge and new understanding before they meet themselves again. Or I could skip to them meeting themselves again and then have them have a witness, so to speak, for running through a few of those similar situations again where they actually have answers this time, right? And then actually I think it has to be the inverse. So it goes, self, others, society, and then learning from the mentor, self, others, society, and then acquiring the star necklace, and then you reverse that process for the main character's experience. So we're back to society, self, or society, others, self. And this time they have the mastery, they have the experience that they feel more comfortable within
themselves to be able to figure out what they want to do with their life and then to pursue it. Like, being true to themselves. And then by the after right after that last self versus self, when we've come full circle, we do the hey, inverted traffic scene. Now you're on the other side of the road and you're the one seeing the version of yourself that needed some help. And that's where we make the circle complete. So I'll make a little note reminding myself inverted challenges with new sense of self. Because I think the spending, it wouldn't be explicitly clear how much time they've spent, but I do think it's like a thing where it should take a little longer for them to start to piece together like what their own version of themselves looks like before they meet themselves again and they get to that point where they first met the mentor. Okay. So we have a template for essentially around like 12 scenes um, that need to be written out in detail. But I like that kind of closing out everything for the main building blocks of the storyboard and later on the script. I think I like how that looks for that. So we'll leave that for now. I'll probably finish up the inverted challenges next week and then start more of the script writing or vice versa. We'll see. Um, but that wraps up the the writing session, the lock in. Whew. I think I had too much pizza today. I am spent and I'm eepy. So Mom Donnie won, huh? Congratulations, Mom Donnie. I actually forgot it was election day too. Oh, wowie. Let me get some water real quick. Um, I went to Costco earlier today to buy groceries, and I was successfully marketed um, on these pretzel crisps that they had there. It's these right here with these peppermint and cream pretzel crisps. The guy I was walking by the sampler, and I'm a sampler. I'm a sampler enjoyer. um, and so I will indulge myself on occasion. But this guy was like, "Come on, you know you want it." I was like, okay, hold on. I don't know what you're trying to say about me, but maybe I am a little curious. Maybe I am. So I literally, you win this time, Costco samplers. So I try it, and I'm walking away as I'm eating it, and I'm on the phone with my mom too. So like it's like a whole, like I'm distracted. I'm busy, right? Um, and then I pause, and I'm only like 10 feet or 10 yards away, and I'm feeling, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute, this is gas. Hold on, you got me, you got me. So I walk back to see how much it cost, and it was like I think they're originally like $10, but it was like discounted like by like $4, so they were like $6.50. And I was like, oh wait, that's not even that crazy. I think I have to get this now. Dang it. Um, and so I had to admit, I gave my nods to the sampler. I was like, all right, you got me. These are pretty good. Because there was, as I was walking by initially for my first sample, there was a lady who immediately walked over there after sampling it and grabbed like 3 bags of it. And he's like, see, I got you. It's good, isn't it? And I'm like, dang. This guy's been getting people with that all day, and he's been getting a kick out of it. I just know it. Oh my gosh. And admittedly, I would too, because oh my god. Like I wasn't expecting it to be anywhere near that. You know, I thought it was just gonna be like, all right. And it ended up being like peak. It ended up being banger. I am not immune to. Well, I mean, I feel like I can try to be immune to propaganda, but then when you make it you make it taste that good, you know, you got me. Unfortunately, I've been had. um. So yeah, fine. I sue me. I'm a guy who likes a pretzel chip every now and then. You know. In all seriousness, though, Angelo, you need to go try this. These are so good. Holy moly. These are insane. Drayton, you too, if you have a membership. Mm. Pretzel chips. I think my camera's inverted, but it's from the Snack Factory, White Cream and Peppermint. What if we turn the stream into a mukbang real quick? Just me eating pretzel chips. The flavors are melting on my tongue. I also watched New Yorgos Lanthimos, Bugonia, earlier today with Max. It was a fun ride. I think I need to rewatch it specifically for some of the stuff in the beginning, because I think he did tease the fact that it ended the way it did earlier than I really caught on to. So I think I need to rewatch it. But I did think it was cool. I did enjoy the experience of the movie. So, yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Because it didn't like... Do you remember the one scene when Emma Stone's character is on the boat in Poor Things, and then Gerard Carmichael and Is it Helen Mirren? Is it Gerard Carmichael and Helen Mirren? Hold up. Um, no, Hannah. Yeah, Gerard Carmichael and Hannah Shagula, Skigula, Shigula, whatever. Whatever her name is. When these two are on the boat and she runs into them, and they have that like in-depth conversation about like philosophy with his character. Like I had to sit up. I was locked in for that part of the movie. I was like, "Dang, wait a minute, hold on. These cats are cooking." So that was really cool. I really enjoyed that, and I thought that was really interesting. Wait, is something amiss with my stream? No. Yeah, Poor Things in general had some really profound messages and themes, and it was, oh my god, the sets and the costuming for Poor Things was also completely insane. The Petsball lens, I think that's what this lens is called, that they kept using for a lot of scenes. Like he was in his bag, and also Willem Dafoe is just goated actor in everything he does pretty much, and so he had a lot of cool moments too. Emma Stone was incredible in this as well. But yeah, this movie was really dope. I mean, there's that whole sequence in the third act where she becomes she goes to the brothel, and there's the what is the meaning of feminism and how does it relate to socialism and stuff like that, because she meets that black socialist girl in that movie as well too. Yeah, this girl. There's a lot of really cool just cool stuff in general and in Poor Things. Although I will say I was very, very uninformed going into the movie about what it was about, and it definitely was whiplash at times between what I thought it was about and what it ended up being about. But still, very well, wonderfully executed, very cool. But yeah, I need to watch more Yorgos Lanthimos, though, for sure. Oh yeah, it was him. When I went to Telluride Film Festival, I saw him in a cafe, I think with Ari Aster, but I wasn't sure if it was him. I'd never seen him before, and he was wearing a beanie. But that's the same facial hair, so I think it was him. As for his movies, I've seen Poor Things, Begonia, and that is it, actually. That is all I've seen. I haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer. I haven't seen The Lobster. I haven't seen Kinds of Kindness, The Favorite, Dogtooth. I really want to watch The Favorite. Scary Greek Man. True. I really want to watch The Favorite. I think I had tried starting The Lobster, and then I got bored. And then I didn't get around to finishing it. But that was only 10 minutes in, and I think maybe I wasn't locked in enough. But I really want to see The Favorite. And then I want to try to watch Kinds of Kindness, because I think that one's also interesting. Dogtooth, I think, while it may be upsetting, it's definitely probably an enjoyable watch. I mean, I also want to see Killing of a Sacred Deer for sure. Yeah. Killing of a Sacred Deer is your favorite, you think. Okay. Or maybe Poor Things. Dogtooth and The Lobster are amazing. Maybe I didn't get far enough into The Lobster. Or maybe I just thought the main character was boring. I do kind of have a thing about that, where if I dislike a main character, it's pretty hard to sell me on everything else, unfortunately. I do have a bias in that way. And not just for film, also especially, I think it's significantly worse for literature. If I don't like a main character of something I'm reading, good luck trying to get me to finish reading it. It's really hard. I'll try, and if it's interesting enough outside of that character, or the lore or the world building is interesting enough, then I can get through it. But like if I don't like the main character, it's super hard for me to get into. It's super hard for me to get into the rest of the story. You'd hate Lolita LMAO. Probably. Probably true. And I don't necessarily need to be like, I don't need it to be, what's the word I'm looking for? An empathetic main character in any way. Or sympathetic or anything like that. I just need them to be interesting. And so when main characters are just kind of like a blank slate, it's super boring for me. And unless you force them to do some crazy stuff throughout the movie, like good luck getting me to watch it. Like it's just kind of hard. I'm not a fan of those kind of like bland self-insert style main characters that don't really have anything to them. I like character. I like personality. For better or for worse, like you could be a villain, but like you can be something. I was a big. Did you like Alex in A Clockwork Orange? Yes, I did. What a character! What a character! He had a lot going on, and I love how he was also the narrator too. That was super funny because he, your faithful narrator, then had to go to prison, and he explains. Whoa, well, hold on a minute. I didn't say I don't endorse or condone any of the stuff he did in the movie, to be fair. I just think he was an interesting main character. And that's really all I ask for a main character is be interesting. You don't have to be good. You just have to be interesting. So I did like Alex because he was very interesting. And so, it made the plot more interesting and more compelling. No, true story. I think in The Lobster, the main character for that one just was lacking a lot of that especially in the beginning, and so I really didn't bother getting much farther into it. But I need to give it another shot. I need to give it the true cinemaphile lock-in and really dive into it. To be honest, so I'll probably do that at some point. Right now, I'm on a Predator marathon. And I just watched Alien vs. Predator, the first one. And so I have, I think, another Alien vs. Predator to go. Dude, there's too many Predator movies. There's way too many. Oh, my God. Why do they make so many? Predators movies. On a what marathon? Now hold on a minute. Wait. I know that looks bad. You know what that reminds me of? Hold on. I don't know if I have if I'm sharing audio on my YouTube, but let me know. Let me know if y'all can hear this.
It'll be over, so I did what I had to do. But
That scene cracks me. Wait, no, I can't. Oh, you couldn't hear it? Hold up. Let me fix my. Capture. All right, let me try this again.
reason for my very existence would be over, so I did what I had to do. But it broke my heart to put that tumor in her head. What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Every single time. Wait. I know that sounds bad. I do it all the time. That cracks me up so much. But that's what I thought of me shooting Comey after he says he's on a Predator marathon. I love these movies. Goated movies. I loved the first and the third of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and I need to rewatch the second one because I remember initially hating. Absolutely not. I'm not watching One Piece. I remember initially hating the second one because it was very divorced from the comic books, and it's definitely the weakest in the trilogy. But I think I need to rewatch it to see if I really feel that the same way about it. Yeah, because if I also felt a similar way about believe it or not, the first Black Panther. I had docked points on the first Black Panther because it wasn't as comic book faithful as I had wanted it to be. But that kind of clouded my judgment for seeing it for what it was, which is absolute cinema. So that was one where on my rewatch, whoa. We don't need to say all that. Second one's kind of annoying, but it's still good. Third one is amazing. True, third one is amazing. Damn, so you were, no, I'm not. It was good. I still liked it. I just didn't like it as much as I should have at the time. But on a rewatch and where I locked in, I was like, okay, no, this is absolute cinema. Hold on a minute. You're talking crazy right now. You're talking crazy. But yeah, the third one is absolute peak for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh my gosh. The third one is so good. I feel like there was more than this. Oh wait, I've seen Predator, I've seen Predator 2. And then I've seen Alien versus Predator now. And I'm debating potentially watching Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, which is the sequel, before hopping into Predators, The Predator. And then I've seen Prey, and I haven't seen Killers of Killers. And Predator Badlands is coming out at the end of this week, so I want to see that. Dr. Umar would not be happy. You think a Dr. Umar doesn't like Black Panther because there's the one white guy in it? Hold on, what's his name again? Who's that actor? He plays is this something Martin Freeman? I think it's Martin Freeman, right? Where is he? Hold on. Did I imagine that? It was Martin Freeman not in the first Black Panther. Y'all know who I'm talking about, right? The one white guy? Like he's the only white guy in the movie. What? Oh, I guess other than Stan Lee, of course, but where? I'm so confused. Yeah, Martin Freeman. Yeah, there we go. Martin Freeman. Am I going crazy? I could have sworn he was in the first one. He's in the sequel we watched. Wakanda Forever. Wait, did we watch the sequel together? I don't remember that. Oh, I guess he's not in the first one. I was so sure he was in the first one. Dang. Nah, he definitely in the first Black Panther. Wait, what? You held me at gunpoint. No, I did not. I do remember watching that, rewatching it. Wait, have you even seen the first one? He definitely in the first Black Panther. Okay, yeah, but why isn't he listed? Hold on. Let me go to his IMDb page. I made you watch the second one, but not the first one? That doesn't sound right. Are you sure? I didn't know what was going on with the fish people were cool. Oh, I remember now. I think I had been watching it, and then and then for whatever reason you had come over. I don't know if it was specifically to watch that, but I want to say I either restarted it or I just kept playing it from where I was at while you were here and made you watch the rest. That's so funny. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Okay, yeah, I'm not tripping. He's in the first Black Panther. Why wasn't it showing him? Bruh. I'm mad as hell. I didn't know what was going on with the fish people were cool. True. Fish people were goated. Lupita. Michael B. Hipster. Am I right? Literally. When people say name 10 women, she's on my list. Lupita's on my list. She's so pretty. True. Winston Duke was one of my favorite characters from the Black Panther franchise. Both as especially, I think he was an even better character in the second one too. He's hilarious as White Ape in the first one, but in the second one, he has so much more like maturity and just kind of thought. Cars 2 is a low-key underrated movie. I don't know how I got to that train of thought. Ban this, Emma. Talking about Cars 2 SMH. No, honestly, there's some truth to that. Because I think I was rewatching Cars 2 randomly when I was over at somebody's house earlier this year. And it is a surprisingly memorable movie. Surprisingly, there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on in this movie, but it is surprisingly memorable and very, very entertaining. I rewatched it a month ago, and I was like, wait, this is fun. It is. It is no business being part of the Cars trilogy, but it is so fun. It is so incredibly fun. Finn McMissile, come on. Made her a little annoying sometimes, but otherwise very funny. True. Because he's like a hillbilly that's being exposed to the rest of the world. And he's low key kind of racist about it sometimes. My Pixar hot take is Finding Dory is cute, but not as bad as some people make it seem. To be honest, Finding Dory was a forgettable movie for me. I don't think I would call it trash or anything like that. It's not great, but it's cute and I like it. Well, maybe that's because you're gay. Ever thought of that? Oh, for sure, but I still like it. Hey, that's funny. Man, this I don't remember the plot of Finding Dory. Because it's she ends up in the zoo that I think an aquarium or something. Not a zoo. An aquarium or something that she used to be in. It's forgettable, but it's still cute, okay? I mean, true. I did think it was Actually, hold on a minute. When did this come out? All right, 2016. For Pixar sequel standards, it's good. Mandalorian. 2019. Okay. All right. It is cute. I'll give it that. And for Pixar sequels, hold on, wait. Because isn't Pixar low-key gas at making sequels? Okay, not really. Not really, never mind. Not really. Oof. Oofta. That is a rough set list. Admittedly. That is a rough set list. I think I'm thinking of DreamWorks. DreamWorks is locked in when it comes to sequels, but Pixar is not hitting as hard as DreamWorks is. Toy Story 2 and 3 are goated. Toy Story 2 and 3 are locked in, goated. Inside Out 2 and Toy Story 2 and 3 are good. Inside Out 2 was also really, really solid. I was a huge fan of Inside Out 2. It expanded on the universe really, really well. I would also say Monsters University was really solid. I liked it. I thought it was good. It wasn't, peak or anything like that. But I think that, like, for the universe that it was working on, I liked that style of storytelling for that movie. Shrek 2 is one of the best sequels ever. Hot take. I think that's a cold take. Isn't that, like, arguably one of the greatest animated movies of all time is Shrek 2? And wasn't it, like, one of the highest grossing, like, animated movies to date for a long time? Shrek 2 made a lot of money. Hold on. Highest grossing animated movies of all time. Okay, Nezha 2. Dang. I did not know Nezha 2 was moving like that in China. Obviously, there's the Chinese audience that it killed with, so of course it was going to make a bunch of money, but holy. Yes, but I see people say it's not as good as the first, which is wrong. True. That's a crazy take. To say that Shrek 2 is worse than Shrek 1, that's a crazy take. Inside Out 2 is the second highest grossing movie of all time. The Lion King. Oh, this is the 2019 animated one. Okay. Frozen 2, Super Mario Brothers movie. What? Shrek 2 is all the way down here? Okay. Dang. Minions made $1 billion at the box office? Bruh. What the heck? Yes, the OG Lion King is banging. Shrek 2 is so good though. Oh my gosh, I can't think of why anybody would dislike Shrek 2. It's so locked in. Here's my hot take on is that is this what I'm thinking of? Baby shower with a group of princesses. Yeah, this is the one I'm thinking of. Shrek 3 does not get enough credit. Shrek 3, I think Shrek the Third does not get enough credit for what it did. I thought this movie was so fun, and it was solid. Sorry, I'm a fan of Shrek 3. I got to admit, I'm a Shrek 3 kind of guy. This Arthur Pendragon character, the meme scene at the end with the play. Because if I recall correctly, Shrek 3 is the one where Prince Charming comes back. Where is the scene that I'm thinking of? Boo. Yeah, this right here. This was gas. This was fun. This was solid. I like Shrek the Third. I don't think it gets enough credit. Oh, yeah. Hold on. Now I got to look up DreamWorks sequels. Because I do feel like if there's one thing DreamWorks is locked in on, it's their sequel game is undefeated. Shrek 2, better than Shrek 1. Kung Fu Panda 2, better than Kung Fu Panda 1. How to Train Your Dragon 2, better than How to Train Your Dragon 1. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, cracked. I don't even know if I've seen the first one for the first Puss in Boots. I'm pretty sure it was mid. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, the sequel, goated. Insanely good. Yeah, the Kung Fu Panda trilogy, or I guess they added the fourth one. The Shrek franchise. I still need to watch this. You haven't seen Last Wish? You need to get on that. Last Wish is really, really good. The Puss in Boots, your first Puss in Boots sucks, to be honest. That doesn't surprise me. The Last Wish is cracked out, dude. I'm so serious. You need to get on that. The Last Wish is really, really good. Croods. Oh. All right. Croods might be the only exception to DreamWorks, one of a few exceptions to DreamWorks sequel run. I haven't seen, but I also haven't seen Trolls World Tour. And I remember because I thought the first one was meh. So I never watched World Tour or Band Together. I mean, I like the first one. I also like the first Croods. Croods are pretty good, I think. I was a big fan of the first one. The sequel was hard to care about. It was a little silly. But basically, like, the conservative Neanderthal family moves in with, like, these hippy-dippy liberals. Liberal caveman people. And then, like, the secret that they're hiding is that they're feeding, like, this giant beast. This, like, massive ape in the forest in order to keep the peace. The sequel is so goofy. The sequel is so goofy, man. And like Grug's like masculinity and like feelings of adequacy as a father are challenged by like this like suburban white liberal Paleolithic age dad. Like it's like a whole thing. It's so silly. Oh wow, my whole screen froze for a second. Anyways, it's so silly. It's like a whole thing. But the first one is really good. I really enjoyed the first one at least. And I think on rewatch it would still hold up. Plus the grandma's cracked out. Grandma's funny. There's also this whole like Ride the Lightning sequence with like all the girls. That's like a whole thing that happens in the second one. I don't know. It was goofy. It was weird. It was wacko. But it's definitely one of the few exceptions to the DreamWorks sequel peak rule. Because it was definitely weaker than the first one. Madagascar 2, banger. Madagascar 3, banger. Madagascar sequels were better. How to Train Your Dragon. Oh, there's going to be a Wild Robot 2 next year. Okay, and then there was a Bad Guys 2. Ooh, that reminds me actually. I forgot about Monsters vs. Aliens. When are we getting a B-movie sequel? Open Season. Oh my gosh, Angelo, do you remember Open Season? Open Season was so memorable. Oh my goodness. I don't know how I could forget the first of Open Season. Do you remember like the scene where the hunter comes back into his cabin and he's like, somebody's been eating my food. And somebody forgot to flush. And we quoted that like, yes, somebody forgot to flush. Like non-stop. Oh my gosh. That movie was insane. Oh man. And then there was the sequel with that evil Chihuahua dog. That was fun. I did not realize this was DreamWorks. Who voiced? That makes a lot of sense. Joe McHale voiced the dog. Did we play it in a different language just for that scene? I don't actually remember that. I know we abused that DVD like until it stopped working right. With how much we rewinded and played stuff over and over again on it. But I don't remember playing it in a different language, but that scene was so funny. Oh my gosh. I think this is tricky. But if I had to say what I think the best DreamWorks sequel is, it would either be Shrek 2 or Kung Fu Panda 2. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, but it did have the mini games. I think the Somebody Forgot to Flush scene was definitely originally in the movie and in English. But as for the mini games, there might have been some of the mini games where like it had one of those things in there. They need to bring back mini games on DVDs. Kids used to have, things to do other than doom scroll on TikTok for 6 hours a day. We used to play mini games on our DVDs for movies. When is America going back to that? We need this country to heal again. We need to put mini games back on DVDs so we can play. So we could play them. But yeah, as for like the best DreamWorks sequel, yeah, I think my heart tells me either Shrek 2 or Kung Fu Panda 2. It's because Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is really, really freaking good too. So it could honestly be that one as well. It's hard to say. There's a lot of good DreamWorks movies. Bad Guys 2 was really fun, but as for my Predator watch, I think I'm like 1, 2, 3. Okay, I'm only three movies away from. Wait, did you DreamWorks sequel is Trolls 2? Because what is Trolls 2 even about? Is that about like the pink-haired one finding her sister or something? Isn't that it? And she's like a punk rocker or something like that. Trolls World Tour. I never watched Trolls World Tour. I think they did covers of original songs, though, if I'm not mistaken, in the Trolls movies. The lesbian rock and roll troll wants to make all music rock, and Poppy has to stop her. Boo! What is with this anti-queer propaganda that Poppy's spreading? Poppy canonically hates gay people. That's not surprising. This does give a vibe of some, like, she'd say something like, I'm just not really comfortable with people who behave that way or want to live their life like that around me. Like, it's just, it is giving homophobic, It's giving that vibe. There's something very Regina Hall or Regina George about Poppy, There's something about it that kind of has that mean girl vibe to her. So it makes sense to me. And then there's Branch. Because Branch was also voiced by Justin Timberlake, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Justin Timberlake. JT. Honestly, when I think of the movies that he's done, he's a pretty decent actor. For someone who I think originally came from music to go into acting, he's a pretty decent actor. He's in Shrek the Third. What? He's Arthur Pendragon? Bruh, that's really funny. Because he was really solid in The Social Network. I've heard good things about him in Time. And then, he did his voice acting in Trolls and Trolls Band Together. And then Trolls World Tour, I suppose. I haven't seen much of his stuff. Inside the... Wait, he's in this one? Oh, okay. But everything I have seen him in, he's been a decent actor in. Underrated actor, to be honest. Anthony Ramos. What has he been? Okay, I remember him from Twisters. He was in Rise of the Beasts. Bad Guys 2. Oh, he plays the fish. Yeah, the piranha, I mean. He's in A Star Is Born? Did not know that. Yeah. Oh, and there's my goat, Sam Rockwell. Sam Rockwell is a phenomenal actor. Very underrated. Rip Ozzy. Who does Ozzy play? He's in Trolls World Tour? Huh? Does he just make songs, or is he just himself in the movie? Lesbian rock Trolls dad. Dang. That's tragic, man. That's messed up. R.I.P. our boy Ozzy. He's basically just himself. Hey, I mean, if I was Ozzy, I'd also want to just basically play myself. Oh, I really need to watch this anthology. It did sound super interesting. And I did not know that Fortiche animated it. But that's huge. And then there's Predator Badlands. Yo, the Prey guy is going to be the same one doing Predator Badlands. That's awesome. I liked Prey. I thought Prey was really dope. So Predator Badlands, I have hopes for it. Predator Badlands is going to be interesting. They have Elle Fanning as a synthetic in this one. So there's going to be some form of crossover or connection to the Aliens universe through her character. I feel like I know her from a ton of stuff, but it never comes to mind. Okay. Oh, I remember her from A Complete Unknown. I think I had started The Great, so I remember her from that. Wait, is she Snow White in the Maleficent series? Oh, she is Aurora. Okay, not Snow White. Whoops. Aurora in the Maleficent series. Yeah. Hot take. I thought Maleficent was good. I had a great time with Maleficent. They could never make me hate Maleficent. Sorry. I enjoyed the first one and the second one. I thought they were dope. They could never, and it's freaking Angelina Jolie. So, boom. There you go. Angelina Jolie being cunty mother, and you're going to tell me that I'm supposed to hate that movie because it's not a good movie? Yeah, I don't think so. The second one was a mess, but the first one, that was a good movie. That is a banger. Yeah, she's literally ethereal, man. Like, I don't even know like how else to express it. Obviously, she's probably had work done and stuff like that, but still, like, she's a phenomenal actress, and she's very beautiful. What does she look like younger? She looks low key evil all the time. She's always looked low key evil. She's also a BPD baddie. Gotta love it. Yes. We love a BPD queen. What was I about to say about this? Because how she looks when she was younger, low key reminds me of what's her name on TikTok. But I'm blanking on it. Would let her ruin my life. True. And then she has like 8 adopted kids. Whew. What an icon. What a diva. Because let's see, Elle Fanning. She's gonna be in Predator Badlands as well too. I feel like I remember her from something where she was much younger though, and I can't think of what that was. Because I feel like I recognize her face as a child actress. Was it We Bought a Zoo with a Nightingale, Neon Demon, Ballerina, Mary Shelley, Teen Spirit. Oh, that's where I know you from. Sweetie Pie Thomas in Because of Winn-Dixie. Holy cow, what a poll. What a crazy poll to remember you from that. Dang. I haven't seen this movie, and the movie and book are goated. Absolutely goated movie and book. I haven't seen this movie since maybe 2011. This movie I haven't seen in a long time. Like 3rd grade or something like that is when I watched this movie. And it is so good and so sad. Oh my goodness. It is so sad. Especially at the end. Wowee. But it was a banger movie. And that book was crazy. No idea if it holds up, but I loved it as a kid. I honestly feel like it should hold up. Maybe the acting doesn't, but I think story-wise, the way the book mapped onto the movie was pretty solid, or the movie mapped onto the book was pretty solid. I've actually never seen Bridge to Terabithia. Never seen it. But that's what I remember her from. I know. I haven't seen it. Because of Winn-Dixie. What a crazy poll. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think it's on something right now. Fake reader. I want to say last I saw it, it was on the Netflix or something. Oh, Disney Plus. Dang it. I don't have a Disney Plus subscription. But yeah, it's on Disney Plus, Terabithia. I don't even know what it's about. I just know it's kind of out there. But it has Anna Sophia Robb. Which, apart from Because of Winn-Dixie, I feel like I know her as an adult from something too. She looks familiar. From something as an adult. Don't read the plot synopsis. It's on Disney Plus, I think. We'll pirate it, Pooks. It's best to go in with 0 spoilers? Okay. I remember there was one point in time where it was playing on TV and I watched like the last 15 minutes of it and it did not make any sense to save my life. But yes, I have not seen Bridge to Terabithia. I also haven't seen Race to Witch Mountain, another one that should be on our list. Because I think this is one of those Disney bad movies, but I haven't seen it, so I need to watch it to know for sure. Oh, that's where I know her from. Yeah, that's the adult scene I know. Okay, that's the adult role I'm thinking of, because I remember watching Rebel Ridge. Okay, and she was in it. She played the Summer McBride. Yeah, she played the recovering addict cop. Yeah, this movie was a crazy ride. This movie was like on 10 all the way through, and it was like, oh my god, police corruption, police brutality, what the heck is going on? Whoa, 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 whoa. This guy, right? Oh my god. He's 6'4". He sings, he dances, he does everything, mind you. Like, God has favorites, and freaking Aaron Pierre is one of them. You could never ever have had me meet this guy and convince me that he was a theater, like predominantly a theater performance major. Like he went to school for theater and performance, and he's only just started making movies. You could not have gotten me there to save my life from this guy. He says, show off, I'm just salty. No, literally, bro. Literally. This guy's unreal. He's 6'3". He's British. Light skin with great facial hair. Like, bro, how about I shoot myself? Huh? How about I blow my brains out? That's crazy. And he's huge. He's huge. He's jacked, bro. On top of that. Like, bro. Yeah, British is bad. He needs to work on that. But everything else, because he plays an American in this very convincingly. But everything else is just, wow-wee. Life's not fair sometimes, and he exists to remind you of that. Holy moly. Incredibly talented, very, the eyes, bro. It's the freaking eyes. Oh my gosh. Ugh. Anyways, this guy, I didn't recognize him at first. I was like, dang, I kind of know you from somewhere, don't I? And then it clicked that he's in A Place Beyond the Pines. There's another surprising pull, A Place Beyond the Pines. It was kind of stacked in cast-wise. It's one of those, like, you know how every once in a while you'll find an indie movie with just a bunch of people that became A-list actors or B-list actors afterwards, or were at the time that just happened to be in it? That's how I feel about A Place Beyond the Pines. I should rewatch Over the Hedge. Over the Hedge is a banger. I love Over the Hedge. But this is definitely one of those movies. Did I get a follower? Oh, thanks for following. Text Thundergun. But yeah, this is definitely one of those movies where, I mean, come on. Eva Mendes, Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Ray Liotta, Dan DeHaan, Dan Mendelsohn, Rose Byrne, Marshala Ali. And most of these people are playing secondary characters in that movie. That's a crazy stacked list. Bruce Greenwood's in it. And he's not even in the top 8, the top 10. Actors in it to speak of. Like, that's a crazy stack cast. But I know him from this movie because he plays the son of Bradley Cooper in this movie. And he's a major douchebag. And I guess since then, I've only ever seen him in Rebel Ridge, where I think he plays a super corrupt cop. Hot Summer Nights. Oh, I guess he's in Roofman, too. I haven't seen War Machine, but I think I need to watch it. I think it's a political satire, military satire, and I've heard it's pretty good. Hot Summer Nights. Micah Monroe. Timothy Chalamet. Where do I know her from? You know who she looked like, low-key, in some of these pictures? She low-key kind of looked like Lily Rose Depp a little bit. Oh, this is the It Follows and Longlegs girl. Okay. Gotcha. That's who I know her from.
I don't know if it's their face, but they look similar. Yeah, Lily Rose Depp is her. And then this is Miss Micah Monroe. I mean, they look similar, do they not? Is that just me? I don't know. Anywho, oh, I forgot the ADHD squirrel. If you can call it that. I think this squirrel was just like a cokehead for sugar. But, or was it sugar? It wasn't sugar, was it? It was it the, is it the cheese cream spray or whatever? I don't remember what it was. I'm gonna be for real. When I watched Nosferatu, I thought Lily Rose Depp was Latina. Ah! That's not ridiculous to say that, actually. I don't think that's ridiculous to say that. I don't need the original. I need the 2024 one. Because she does kind of give a Latina vibe in this movie, to be fair. I also don't know what ethnicity Johnny Depp is. But I don't think he's white, is he? It's the hair, I think. My parents thought I was insane. Yes. It's definitely... I think it's the hair. I mean, she's also like BPD core in the movie. And hate to be that guy, but... but there's there's something in the air that kind of makes some... He played a Native American at one point, but he's white as hell. Why doesn't Johnny Depp look white even though he is? That's funny. Personal life, political views, acting credits. He also... He was born in Kentucky? Huh. Interesting. Played as a Native American at one point, but he's white as hell. Yeah, he pretends to be British. I hate this guy so much. What was I gonna say? I don't think I thought he was British per se, but I didn't think he was an American. That is for sure. I don't know if I thought he was British, but I thought he was maybe like a Spaniard or something. I didn't think he was white or American. He's very extravagant and extra in a lot of ways, which I think lends to his acting. But I feel like he's like always like that in a way that's like, I imagine that I would find him rather obnoxious in person to be around. That's the vibe I get. But he was definitely Burton's it man for a while there. Corpse Bride, Sweeney Todd, Sleepy Hollow. I think Sleepy Hollow's Burton, right? Yeah. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Scissorhands. If I met him in real life, it's on site. He used to be a good actor, though, not gonna lie. Yeah, like I felt like I've been told that Sweeney Todd is only lessened by the fact that he's not a very good singer, but that outside of that, his role in Sweeney Todd was really solid. I liked him in Rango. I thought Rango was really solid. I heard he was phenomenal in Black Mass, and I don't remember if he won an Oscar for Black Mass.
I'd have to double check. I thought Pirates of the Caribbean. This is where I would say he fell off, is in these movies. Because I've personally, and this is just a bias of mine, I feel like everything he did after these movies felt like some variation of Jack Sparrow. Apart from Black Mass, I felt like every movie he did after the Pirates of the Caribbean was just some version of Jack Sparrow. And I could be way off base there, but that's just how I felt at the time. And not necessarily the first one, but just like maybe after like the third or fourth of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, it would just kind of felt like you're just playing Jack Sparrow, but a little different. And maybe that's typecasting. I don't really know, but you're an actor, you know, and I know you need money, but like you also have, after those many successes, I know you have a lot of wiggle room to choose what roles you want to play. So, you know, no excuse at the same time. I mean, there's actors that have been able to like be very selective about what roles they choose to play. And, you know, they've demonstrated a phenomenal range regardless, you know? Look at Daniel Day-Lewis. He's cracked out as an actor. He's got a lot of roles under his belt and a lot of variation in those roles. And every time he's just completely dialed in. There Will Be Blood, Lincoln, Last of the Mohicans. I have heard this movie referenced so much. And to this day, I still haven't seen it. I need to watch it. I think it's been referenced too many times in pop culture at this point for me to ignore it any longer. And so I think I need to watch it. But I have not seen it. Has anybody else seen Last of the Mohicans? Please explain to me what the heck it's about. If you have. Otherwise, I need to add it to our movie list. Man. It's a Gandhi movie? With Ben Kingsley? Is Ben Kingsley not white? Wait. Wait a minute. Sir Ben Kingsley. He's been knighted. Oh. Born Krishna Pandit Banji. Oh. Okay. Okay, English mother, Indian father. Indian Gujarati father with roots in Jamangar. Okay, so he's half Indian. Whitewashing was more common back then. Oh, he's half Indian. I had no idea. I also had no idea. I guess it makes a little bit of sense now. Why he would be able to play Gandhi in a Gandhi biopic. But he looks more white than Indian, you know? But maybe he's just old. Maybe that's what's going on. Because for a while there, he kept getting typecast as an Arab. Which is, you know, interesting. Is this who I think it is? Yeah, Jennifer Connelly. Yeah. Phantom Thread. Anemone. I think I need to watch Anemone really badly. Because if I recall correctly, I heard somebody telling me about this movie, and I guess it was pretty nuts. And it's Daniel Day-Lewis's directorial debut. Okay. Gotta go to bed, but fun stream. Yeah, thank you for joining, Angelo. Thank you. I think I probably need to wrap it up pretty soon here, too, now that you're mentioning it. It's already been the 2.5 hour mark, so That pretty much sums it up for us. Us is a great movie. Did you just watch it? LOL.
But yeah. Why does Anemone sound so familiar? Oh, it was this year. That's why. Okay, because I remember hearing about it and seeing it on the list at Telluride. That's why it sounds so familiar. Okay. All right, then. That wraps it up, though. But thanks for everybody joining the stream.
Appreciate everyone who comes in to yap with me and everything. But I think I'm at least gonna do next week's stream. We'll see after that. Stop. We'll see. I don't know if I'll be able to keep doing this into the holidays because I'll be working a lot more. So we'll see. But I'd like to, if possible, do a lot of the writing on stream as well too, before I submit everything to Screen Labs or to Sundance Film Labs. But yeah, I will see you all next week, same time, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. But thanks for joining the stream in the meantime. Have a good night, y'all. See ya, suckers. Good night, gamers. Boom.